Hello, we're going to do some multi-step dimensional analysis today. So from our problem, we got 250 millijoules and we want to know how many calories is that. So I've already rewritten it to our step 1 format. 250 millijoules, what we know, equals question mark calories. So that's our first thing we do, put it into step 1 of factor label method. Step 2 is figure out our pathway. How did we go from millijoules to calories? When I look at my conversion sheet, I don't see any millijoules to calories, but I do see a joules to calories. And that reminds me that in metric, I could go from millijoules to the base unit of joules, no problem. So that would be my other conversion, millijoules to joules and then joules to calories. Joules to calories, I get right off the conversion sheet, 4.184 joules equals, and you could write it either way, 4.184, capital or lowercase, equals 1 calorie. And the millijoules to joules, I have to use my ladder. Milli to base, 1, 2, 3. It is 3 steps to the left. Okay. Now, when I'm trying to put it into factor label method, I'm not moving my decimal place. I'm actually going to have to put it into as a conversion. Okay, so I'm going to say that 3 means either 10 to the 3 millijoules equals 1 joule. 3 steps. We took 3 steps to go from milli to joule. Or we use 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 millijoules is equal to 1 joule. Okay, there are 1,000 millijoules in 1 joule. And then yet it should be something that you remember. There was 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. There's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So kind of jogs your memory. Okay, yeah, I am doing this the right direction. So now I have my 2 conversions. And so I'm going to rewrite the problem. 250 millijoules times fraction bar. The millijoules is on the top because I could put an imaginary or infer over 1. Because any number can go over 1. Millijoules is in the numerator, so then this part of the conversion has to go in the denominator. And now, since millijoules is in the denominator, then the 1 joules has to go in the numerator. And I can do a double check right here. Millijoules numerator, millijoules denominator. Yes, I'm on the right path because now I'm at joules is my unit and joules is what's left. So I made it through step 1. Times a line, and now I'm going to do step 2 because each arrow represents a step. Joules is now on the top. Joules is equal to 4.184, so joules goes on the bottom. Joules is on the bottom. Its matching conversion is calories, so that goes on the top. Joules in the top, joules in the bottom. Yay, confetti. It means I just completed my next step. So I started with millijoules, and now I don't have it anymore. Then I went to joules, canceled both those out, and I ended up with calories. So always double check that your pathway makes sense. If you got units that did not cancel, that means you need to start over again. And now I plug it into my calculator. 250 times 1 over 1,000 times 4.184. If you're going to plug that into your calculator as a times, then make sure you have parentheses. Or you could do 250 times 1 divided by 1,000 divided by 4.184. Make sure you get a method and you just stick to it. I showed you 2 pathways there. Make sure you pick one and just use that one from now on. You'll get an answer 0.0597514 blah, 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 blah. But remember, we don't have to write all that out. We look back up here, 2 sig figs in 250, because that trailing 0 doesn't count. We didn't take time to measure. We don't have a decimal. So we only need the 1, the 2 here for sig figs. So my 7 tells me I have to round up, 0.060, and I was left with calories, so calories. My end answer should have a number and a set of units and a double check, sig figs. Leading zeros don't count. 6 counts. This 0 counts because it's after the number and after the decimal, which means I am done.